few weeks ago, I was browsing the local dollar store and I found this pack of knives in the clearance section. As you can see, it's 3 different chef knives, and it was only $1, so I figured I'd pick it up and see what I could do with it. I don't have any use for these chef knives, and to be honest, they're not the greatest. So I thought it would make the perfect mini-series if I spent a few videos on trying to turn these into something usable. This first knife here is a utility knife. It's made out of stainless steel, and the scales are obviously plastic, very cheaply made. The knife's not even really sharp. It's a very basic knife. And my idea is to make this into a Kiridashi. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It's basically a crafting knife, from what I understand, and I think it'll be pretty handy to have around my shop. So I'm just going to take this marker and draw out a simple design that I like. And I want this to look like an overgrown X-Acto knife, basically. So I'm going to try to style it into the Kiridashi that I need. And I'm just going to go ahead and color in the shape. That way you can kind of see what I'm going for here. It's a short blade, so you'll have maximum control basically. And it's just used for carving or cutting out shapes in thin material. And I've actually made one of these before from a piece of flat steel, and it broke, so that video never actually made it. It actually broke during heat treat, which is a problem I've had with several knives made of 1095 steel. So there's the Kiridashi shape that I'm going for. And you can see it's a short blade, and it's going to have a razor sharp edge on it, and it should be easily controllable and leave me enough blade to work with. Next, I'm going to take one of these chef knives . I think this larger knife will be the best bet. I've got the most steel to work with anyway, and I'm going to make it into a Kukri. I've wanted to make a Kukri for a while, but I didn't want to waste some of my nice steel that I had on something that may not work out. So this is perfect for that project. This knife is long enough and the handle's comfortable. It's still made out of the same cheap plastic, and the rivets are they're barely even pressed together. But here I'm going to take this Sharpie and draw a basic Kukri design, and then we'll grind it out in the second part of this series. I'm going to upload these videos over the next 3 days, so you're not going to have to wait long for these. This promo intro video, whatever you want to call it, that this is going to go through the design process of all of these knives, and then I'm going to do a 1x1 video of actually making them. But at the end of this video, I'll be making the first, which will be the Kiridashi. And now I've drawn out the basic design of a Kukri. It may not look exactly like that when it's done, but that's the shape that I'm going for. It should leave me plenty of handle to work with it and be a pretty comfortable Kukri to have around. It's not really something that I need in my shop, but it's just a cool knife design that I like, so I'm going to give it a shot and see what I can make out of this piece of stainless steel, basically. last we have this chopping blade. I believe it's called a Santoku knife. I don't have a ton of ideas for this, but I want to convert it into a Japanese style cleaver, which, I mean, it's not really far from that as it is now. The blade's semi-flexible. It's about as sharp as the others, which is not very sharp. So this one's just going to get a straight line, and then I'll angle that appropriately. I wanted to draw the line where the curve starts at the bottom, so I end up with a nice flat cleaver shape. And then I'll adjust from there on the grinder. Now this will be featured in the third part of this series. Now we're going to move into the shop. I'm going to start making the Kiridashi first. This is the Kiridashi that I drew a few minutes ago. And we're going to first use the angle grinder to cut off the end of the knife. And now you can see that we're left with a much shorter utility knife. And I'm going to use the bench grinder to grind it down to the shape that we drew earlier. Now you can see it starting to take shape. I'll give you an idea of what I'm going for here. And the handle came apart. Luckily it's all cheaply press fit together, so I can just press it back together. Maybe in another video I'll epoxy these handles if I actually end up using these knives regularly. I'm just going to put a decent edge on it. Try to clean things up a little bit. And then I'm adding a little bit of grip to the handles. And that's a pretty ugly Kiridashi, but it works. So now I've cleaned up the Kiridashi, and I'm going to demonstrate how it works on a sheet of paper here. I'm just going to cut out the letter T, and you'll see how clean it cuts. It's got a nice sharp edge and a very sharp tip, and it's the perfect craft knife that I wanted. So it'll be real handy to have around. I'll probably leave it in the shop. But it is very sharp. I did use my sharpening stone a bit to try to clean up the edge just a little, and it came out really nice actually. So if you think about it, I guess it was $1 for 3 knives, so that would be roughly 33 cents a piece. So a useful Kiridashi for 33 cents, I can't really complain. It's very easy to control, and the tip is just as sharp as I needed it to be. And as you can see, I was able to cut out the shape of a T. So that turned out really well, and it took me just a few minutes to make. As you can see, the blade is sharp, like I said, so it's useful for cutting. And I'm pretty happy with it. So subscribe so you don't miss the next one.